is Mansions of Madness. This is set in the same universe as Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, which are board games that I am not familiar with at all.
I played the Arkham Horror card game.
So you might have some passing familiarity.
A little bit,
with
probably,
this
maybe.
universe.
I don't know.
And I played the Arkham Horror reskin of Battlestar Galactica, which was a lot of fun.
Okay.
So you're our expert.
Yeah.
The resident Arkham Horror expert. The good news about this is, as you can see up in the top right corner of the screen there, so you have to have the companion app. It is free, but you have to have the companion app to play the game, and it will take care of most of the teaching, but I'm going to go over some core concepts after we go through the rest of our setup here. So we're doing the Cycle of Eternity scenario. And who do we have? Who's everybody playing as? Amber, who are you again?
Ooh, so I'm Agatha Crane, the parapsychologist. Oh, here's my little
Here
card.
she is.
Yeah.
Dustin, who are you?
I am William Yorick, the Gravedigger.
Okay.
Digging them graves.
Ooh, I think
Right, it's a job. It's honest work.
I am playing as Carson Sinclair, the butler. Eric?
Oh, I'm playing as Preston Fairmount, the millionaire.
Yes.
And he's got a lot of money. He doesn't know where it's from, but boy, does he spend it.
Oh, all of these are different than the ones I pulled out. Awesome. We have the brass knuckles. Roll 2 additional dice while attacking unarmed.
Okay, that seems like a gravedigger kind of kind of move.
Oh, yeah.
We get to
a
decide.
shovel?
Oh.
We get to decide who gets what. There's no limit to how many items any one person can carry. We also have the Holy Cross. Roll 1 additional die while resolving a will test. Here, let's put these up here.
Oh, yeah.
On the thing it's not on?
It's on now. God,
Oh, that's
stop
so cool.
complaining, Dustin.
Who's complaining? I was just stating the obvious.
We have the kerosene lantern, a light source. You may discard this card to convert all magnifying glasses to eldritch signs while attacking unarmed.
I don't know what that means, but I like it.
I think you can also start a fire with it.
The
Love starting fires.
elder signs are basically successes.
Yeah. And then the whiskey.
Okay.
I want that. I don't know what it does, but I think
It's
Preston has that.
I think that's a William York thing.
Use an action to discard up to 2 face-down horror cards. Ooh, that's real handy. Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we also get Arcane Insight. Gives you an action. You or another investigator within range gain a clue, and then you lose Arcane Insight. Probably.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if you get to refresh those
I think
at some point.
I think I remember them saying with spells, you when you use them, you flip them over and read what's on the back.
Oh, right. There's stuff on the back, but we can't look at it yet.
So we're not spell casting.
Right. All right, so we get to determine who gets what of those cards. We're done with setup.
Woo!
Yay!
Okay,
Cool.
so
Celebrate with a pizza roll.
basics of how this game works. The game is structured, and we just saw a little animation on the app that it's the investigator phase now. The game is played in a series of rounds. Every round has 2 phases, the investigator phase and the mythos phase. The investigator phase is our phase to go around and do stuff. Mythos phase, then the app will walk through stuff that happens in the mansion, stuff that the monsters that we're going to come up against will do, and that sort of thing. Yeah, exactly.
And we die.
Or go insane.
During the investigator phase, we all get to take a turn. We get to decide that order as we go. It doesn't matter. On your turn, you get to take up to 2 actions. There are a slew of possible actions that can be taken, but the basic ones are a move action where you can move up to 2 spaces on the board. A couple things about how the board is laid out and stuff. These thick brown lines are like, that's a wall.
Right.
You can't move through a wall, but you could move through a door along that wall. And crossing through that door into another room would be 1 space of movement.
So 1 room within the contained walls is like 1 space?
No.
Not always,
No?
because it's hard to see it on this tile, but there's a thick white line.
Oh.
Right
that's
there.
a bad color to
Yeah.
use.
Okay, so that would be 2 then.
So there's 2 spaces on this
Okay.
room.
Yeah, it's better
Okay.
on some of the other tiles.
Some of the
Okay.
other tiles, it's a
Yeah.
lot easier to see. Yeah.
I was like, I would never have seen
but,
that.
but the same thing applies here, too.
Sure.
Like, there's no wall adjoining these 2
Yeah.
rooms, but it's just another space. Like,
Oh, so
crossing
that's
that
still
white
one room.
line.
It's like a threshold.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like
Something
1,
like
2,
that.
3.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So you can take a move action, that would be moving 1 or 2 spaces.
Sure.
You can also interrupt your move action to take another action and then
Okay.
continue the rest of your
Oh.
movement if you want to. Other actions you can take, you can interact with any of these
Yeah.
tokens that are on the board. These require an explore action. Generally, what that's going to do is reveal what's on the other side of the door.
Sure.
Oftentimes, you're going to have the option to then freely move an extra space, move 1 space into that room. But the app will walk us through that.
Excellent.
These search tokens, if you're in the room with one of those, you can interact with that and spend an action to search something like the pile of papers there or that artwork that's hanging on the wall. Eric was kind of talking about it. These don't cost any action to reveal. These are sightline things. We can't see around this corner yet
Right.
because we're not up there.
Sure.
But if somebody walks into this room, we can then go into the app here and just press that little button and
Okay.
say, let's reveal what's on the other side of this without spending an action.
Sure.
Another action, since they're on the board, these barricades, you can, if you are in the room with a barricade, you can spend an action to move it and block a doorway with it, or move it away from a doorway.
Okay.
If
What's
it's
that blocking? Oh.
if it's not blocking anything right
Nothing.
now. Oh, let me.
Interesting.
That's a little too zoomed in the wrong spot. Okay. If the barricade is on the other side of the door, though, like
Right.
it wouldn't look like that, but you get my point.
Sure.
If the barricade's on the other side of the door, you can't move through it
Okay.
with a regular movement. You would have to first spend an action trying to shove it out of the way,
Okay. To like,
which is a strength check, which brings me to skill checks. So, we all have these stats on the right side of our player board. There's Amber's. There are going to be times that you'll have to make a skill check based on one of those stats. And you can see there's little icons next to that are kind of tough to see here. But when the app
to
shows
see
an
here.
icon,
Oh yeah, so
They're
there's like a
tough
little
to see in
person,
general.
like some wings.
yeah, right. So if you're trying to shove your way through that barricade, that's a strength check. Amber only has a strength of 2. That would mean you would roll 2 of these dice, and then every one of these eldritch signs you roll is a success.
Ooh. Okay.
If you're trying to shove past a barricade, it takes 2 successes to get it out of the way. If there could be a slew of other stuff that could come up in the app, and
Sure.
those successes, sometimes it'll say what your target is,
Yeah.
sometimes it won't,
Okay.
but these are good. You want as
Great.
many
I
of these
want
as possible,
The
generally
cult
speaking.
symbols.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, if you roll a blank, that's a miss. But if you roll a magnifying glass, that is also a miss unless you spend one of your clue tokens,
Oh.
1 per magnifying glass if you're doing it, to turn it into an
Okay.
eldritch sign.
But we've only got 2 of those.
We've only got 2 of them, but you and Dustin both have abilities that will earn you more of them throughout the game. And if I'm not mistaken, there's no maximum limit to how
great.
many of them you can hold.
Excellent.
If you successfully shove your way through a barricade, you just move it out of the way, and then you would have to take a separate move action to then
Okay.
enter past it.
This makes sense.
You can also take a trade action if you are in a room with another investigator or multiple investigators. A trade action will allow you to trade any number of items either direction with multiple people if you want. It's just I can't spend my trade action for you to give
Sure.
Dustin a thing.
Sure.
But I could spend my trade action for me to swap stuff with you and
Yeah.
Dustin and I to swap stuff, whatever. You can also drop stuff on the floor. or pick stuff up off the floor, all included in that same trade action.
Okay.
Interesting.
The stuff that you can trade is limited to items, I believe, pretty much. Clue tokens you can't trade. Damage, horror, spells I don't think can be traded. Maybe spells can, I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's that. That's the trade action. You can also shove monsters if you wanna.
I
You
do
can
like shoving a monster.
push.
Or each other.
Or each other.
What?
Yes.
Oh, I'll be shoving
Get
you
out
down.
of here.
When you push a willing investigator, because there could come a time where you're trying to push somebody who doesn't want to be pushed. We'll talk about that later.
Interesting.
But if you're trying to push a willing investigator, it automatically happens. They move one space. You even have the option to also move that one space as part of that push action.
Really?
If you're pushing a monster, you're gonna look at on the bottom of their standee. There's a number in the bottom right. That's their brawn.
Okay.
That number is your target successes to try and shove that monster. And you'll roll a strength check to shove them. If you roll that many or higher, you succeed, you push them one space, and again, you have the option to move with them when you do it. If you're pushing an unwilling fellow investigator, you both roll strength checks,
Great.
Oh.
and you only succeed if yours is the higher
Oh,
roll.
okay.
You can also steal items from unwilling investigators, like if they don't want to trade with you,
Sure.
which
When you roll to check that.
this is a co-op game. This
It
is a
doesn't
co-op
sound like
game.
it's a co-op game.
But there's a chance
There's a chance
Possession
that
involved.
someone's objectives could change.
if you
Or multiple someone's objectives
if
could
you gain
change.
madness, there's a good chance
You'll
might
go insane.
You might have a win condition that's different than ours.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So if you want to steal something from somebody who doesn't want to trade it with you,
Yeah.
you can choose to. You'll choose one of three stats: strength, agility, or I think it's observation.
Cool.
I can't remember. We'll
I'm
check
fine
it
with
later.
that.
You'll choose one of those, and then you'll roll off between the two skills. If the person doing the stealing rolls higher, then
Strength, agility, observation.
all right. If the person doing the stealing rolls higher, then you subtract the difference, and they get to take that many things
Whoa.
from the other person.
That's rude. I love it.
Yeah.
Alright.
Combat. If there's another monster, or if there is a monster on the board, you can attack them. Most of the time, they're going to need to be in the same room as you. Just as an example, wow, we don't really have it. We got no weapons in our random
We got
setup.
I got some brass
You got your brass knuckles, which really
For
just
Agatha, so I don't die.
which all they do is modify your unarmed attacks.
But we
you
can
you can use an unarmed attack if you're in the same room as somebody.
But we
no
can
matter
get like
what.
guns.
You can also get weapons like this machete. That's a melee weapon, so you could use that. That's what that icon. Zoom in a little more. Whoop whoop. There it is.
But there's also
That's a melee weapon, so that would give you a little bonus to your melee attack.
there's also guns.
There's also ranged attacks that you can do that have that little gun icon.
Gun icon.
Those ranged attacks have a range of up to 3 spaces.
3.
So that's not what that number 3 means. It's just all ranged attacks are 3
Three.
spaces.
Don't look at that 3.
So up to 3 spaces away within line of sight. What that means is like 1, 2, that would be like
gonna
if,
be
if there's
orthogonal,
a monster here,
It could be
not necessarily actually.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be over here, and I believe that would still follow, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, as long as it's not through doorways or
As long as it doesn't go through a door or a wall.
but there are like walls. I
There
don't
are
see,
also some spaces, I think.
I don't see any of the yellow
They're
lines.
double-sided, so it might be on the
Yeah.
back of something. There are some of the, like these spaces you can move through. If it's a dotted line instead of a solid line, you can see through it, but you can't move through it.
Oh, okay.
So you could shoot somebody through it, but you wouldn't be able to walk up to them and punch
Right.
them.
Nice.
Yeah, and then you'll deal damage based on dice rolls plus those numbers on those cards.
Cool.
And if you deal enough damage to kill the thing, you remove the thing.
Great.
Also, we have on our cards a big ol' heart with a number next to it. That's your health.
Yes.
That's how much damage you can take before you become wounded.
Okay.
Right here, these are damage cards.
Oh.
Generally speaking, when you take damage, you're gonna draw a number of cards equal to that damage.
Oh no.
You'll look at it. You'll most of the time look at it face up, which is going to affect things probably in a bad way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sometimes you might take them face down.
Okay.
And either way, they count towards that total damage. So you'll have a certain number of those damage cards in front of you. And if you get to, in Amber's case, 5, then you'll finish resolving all of the text on those things that you're resolving. Then you discard them all, and you will take a wound card. Just to remind you that you are then wounded.
Oh no. Wounded.
What happens when you're wounded?
Wounded players can only take the move action once per turn.
Oh.
And if you then get enough damage to be wounded again, you die.
No!
Oh, okay.
If you die, then we get one more investigator phase to try and finish whatever our end condition is before we lose. Which, by the way, at the start of the game, we don't know what our objective is.
Great.
Beyond the lore that we got in that little voiceover moment at the beginning, like, we don't really know what we're doing here yet.
Great.
We're just coming to investigate.
My favorite.
Great.
That other number on your card,
Yes,
next to the
fine.
brain, is your sanity. Amber's super sane.
Super sane.
Oh, wow.
Similarly, there are going to be times that you will take a horror. That's those brain cards.
Brain card.
Thank you, Amber.
I got you. The brain card.
And they'll work the same way. You'll most of the time take them face up, do whatever the text is. They may turn face down sometimes. If you get up to whatever your number of sanity is in horror cards, you will become insane, which Eric was kind of talking about earlier. You'll then take one of these insane cards at random. There's, I think, 5 of them in there, probably.
There's a lot of insanity to be had.
So you'll take one of those at random and leave it that side up in front of you to remind everybody at the table that that person is now insane.
Great.
But whoever takes it will privately look at the back of it, where there's information on there about your new, or potentially at least, your new win and lose conditions.
Interesting.
I think that pretty much covers
Great.
what needs to be covered before we start playing. There's going to be plenty of other stuff that will come up as we go, but the app will help us with that. Hey, thanks for hanging out. If you want to spend more time with us, do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, head on over to twitch.tv/BNB Tabletop and give us a follow there. We play board games live every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a show we call The Board and Barrel. And we like to keep things interactive. You guys can influence what happens throughout the course of a game with our Buff and Nerf house rules. You can also make predictions on how things are going to pan out, play virtual bingo for a chance to win a free board game of your own, and heckle us and stuff from the chat. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you Sunday night.